Did a real tragedy actually inspire Five Nights at Freddy's? Well, probably not in all fairness, but I know about this story, and the parallels are kinda difficult to ignore. So, I'm gonna be watching Did a Real 1993 Tragedy Inspire FNAF? Now, I actually haven't seen this video before, but I'm well aware of the story of the 1993 tragedy that happened at Chuck E. Cheese. I probably don't know all the details, but like I know what happened, and obviously, I know the person who did it, I know what led up to it, etc. And this video is by Docunamics, I'll be sure to link it in the description. And this was recommended by my good buddy Nixon, so I do read suggestions for videos that you guys want me to watch in my Discord server, so if you have anything you wish to send me, go post it there. So, without any further ado, let's full screen this, and let's see. Did a real 1993 tragedy inspire FNAF? Let's find out.
On December 14th, 1993, a Chuck E. Cheese in Aurora, Colorado was closing for the night. It was just before 10 p.m., and 5 employees were finishing their normal shift routines.
Yeah, this is the story that I'm thinking of. I only know of this because the very first game theory video on Five Nights at Freddy's actually referenced this tragedy. MatPat talked a little bit about it, but he didn't really go fully into details. I'm assuming that's what this video is going to do. But yeah, I am well aware of the tragedy that took place here.
After a late-running family birthday party, Sylvia Crowell, 19, cleaned the salad bar. Ben Grant, 17, vacuumed the carpeted dining area. Colleen O'Connor, 17, assisted with closing duties. Bobby Stephens, 20, stepped outside for a smoke break. And the night manager, Marge Kohlberg, 50, remained in the office.
To think I'm older than all of these people except for this lady here. That's really scary how quickly somebody could lose their life through a horrible tragedy. And yeah, it is so sad that these people lost their lives during this day.
Counting the day's receipts. Outside of work, each of them were living ordinary lives. Sylvia was balancing her full-time job with classes at Metro State and even went shopping with her best friend, Carol Richens, that same day. Before clocking in her shift, Carol shouted, "I love you," as she left. Ben is a high school junior and a member of his school's wrestling team.
Which makes that, again, even scarier that he lost his life so young, He had his whole life ahead of him. He had a future. He had friends and family who cared for them. Every victim did.
Colleen was distracted that night as she had recently discovered on her break 3 hours before that her parents were gifting her a car. Bobby wasn't supposed to work that day, but he needed the hours and cash, especially since he had a 7-month-old baby boy at home and the holidays were fast approaching. Marge, the night manager, acted like a mother to the crew and recently moved back to Colorado from California with her husband Mel to escape the violence in Southern California.
Wow, I didn't know there was a lot of violence going on. Obviously, I'm British, as you guys know, so I don't really know a lot of the intricacies and, reputations that a lot of places in America has, but, I mean, no matter how you slice it, that's tragic, Seeing people who aren't involved in conflicts being caught up in the middle of it. It's like wars, isn't it? There are civilians during the wars, we think of the big countries that are fighting each other, the soldiers and whatnot. But I feel like, besides them, the real people who suffer are the civilians, the people who have nothing to do with any of the fights or any of the conflicts. And just, they unfortunately get caught in the middle, and it's really sad.
All of them were expecting to leave within a few minutes to return to their homes and livelihoods. What they were not expecting was a monster lurking in the dark.
Nathan Dunlap.
Just an hour before, around 9 p.m., 19-year-old Nathan Dunlap entered the Chuck E. Cheese and ordered a ham and cheese sandwich and played an arcade game.
Yeah, this is the guy who did it.
Nathan had worked at the Chuck E. Cheese as a cook back in May, but was fired in July after an argument with his manager over his scheduled hours. His brother Garland also worked in the restaurant on the weekends. In the following months, he had repeatedly stopped by the restaurant, but was very bitter over his firing.
Yep, and this is where it starts.
Intended to get even. Just before the restaurant closed, he hid inside the restroom at 9:50. After the restaurant closed at 10:05 p.m., he exited the restroom with a .25 caliber semi-automatic pistol.
And yeah, you can probably very sadly see where this is going.
At the same time, the animatronic stage show continued its programmed music inside the dining room.
I didn't know that. Oh my god.
A mechanical soundtrack playing in the background. He came up behind his first victim. Sylvia was shot in her right ear. The monster quickly moved to where Ben was vacuuming, shooting him near his left eye. Colleen saw him coming and knelt in front of him, begging him for her life. She was shot through the top of her head.
I mean, just how sick of a person do you have to be to just cut the lives of these people so young, so short? I'll never understand that, and it's just absolutely disgusting. There is no defending what Nathan Dunlap did here. Absolutely no defending. If he really wanted more money, there are other places that could use his professional work, you know. You could get a job as a cook anywhere, I'm assuming. There'd be plenty of places around in America that would be willing to hire. What does he do? He goes petty, and he takes his revenge out on people who didn't deserve it. And yet, they do that. He takes them out. Awful people.
Bobby, after finishing his smoke break, had heard the sharp cracks, but figured it was his co-workers popping balloons and returned to doing the dishes. After hearing a third crack, Bobby saw the monster barge into the kitchen. Taken aback, Bobby muttered hello, but could only watch as the monster, smirking and staring at him, raised his gun and shot him in the jaw.
The fact that he was smirking too, no. Absolutely disgusting.
He sprawled to the floor as he dropped the dishes as they clattered along the floor. The monster moved to the office and forced Marge to open the safe. She complied and was promptly shot in her ear. He took a bag and stuffed it with $1,500 worth of cash, keychains, and Chuck E. Cheese game tokens. Upon seeing that Marge was still moving, he shot her again in her other ear. 6 .25 caliber shell casings dotted the floor as the monster darted out from the restaurant with his bag of stolen cash and lives.
Again, rest in peace to all the 4 victims who died, because, as I'm sure he'll get into later, one person actually made it out of this tragedy alive, and it's not Nathan, it's another person.
Except one was still alive.
Yep, Bobby.
After being shot, Bobby was briefly unconscious and played dead on the floor. After seeing the monster's shoes walk past him, he quickly got up and sprinted out the door, past mortally wounded Sylvia. He scrambled to the nearby Mill Pond apartment complex and pounded on a door until someone answered, who then promptly called the police.
Oh wait, oh my god, there's a call to this. I didn't know there was a 911 call to this. Okay. Now you've got my attention because I enjoy, well, I don't enjoy it, but I'm just really intrigued by these kind of calls that are recorded during a tragedy. So, yeah, we're gonna listen in, people. I did not know that this existed.
Emergency 911. Listen, I have a man who's been shot at my house right here. He came from Chuck E. Cheese. He claims there's been a lot of people shot there. Put another call in for Chuck E. Cheese.
I'm not sure if there was much more to that, but yeah, I didn't know there was a 911 call recorded for that.
He was then hospitalized at Denver General Hospital in fair condition. Sylvia was not as lucky, as she was also sent to Denver General Hospital and declared brain dead, passing away from her injuries the next day at Aurora Regional Medical Center.
Again, no matter how you think of it, it's just really sad.
When authorities arrived on the scene, they found 2 bodies in the restaurant's hallway, a third in a room off the hallway, widely believed to be the showroom, and a 4th in a manager's office, with no signs of struggle. The manager who had fired him was not present during the incident. The monster had fled to his girlfriend's place, 16-year-old Tracy Lickman, after the tragedy, where they were intimate with each other.
Wow. I have no words. I have absolutely no words.
After getting a message from his mother, the monster returned to his apartment and was interviewed by the police, but was briefly let go due to a lack of evidence and insufficient probable cause.
And I'm sure some of you who are really big into Five Nights at Freddy's can remember that very similarly being reported in one of the newspaper clipping Easter eggs. The purple guy, or I guess at the time, the suspected person who did the missing kids incident, was freed due to lack of evidence. So kind of already you can kind of see some of the parallels between Five Nights at Freddy's and what happened in 1993 being linked.
However, investigators linked him to the scene of the crime, and the authorities waited for him to arrive home. About 12 hours after the massacre, the police arrested him at 10:50 a.m. A firearm, ammunition, and other evidence were recovered. Dunlap stood trial in Colorado. Prosecutors presented forensic evidence, crucial eyewitness testimony from Bobby Stephens, who identified the killer, and a detailed reconstruction of the crime scene.
And that's very amazing that Bobby managed to survive that because, again, he played a massive role in getting Nathan convicted here because he was able to identify what happened and obviously give his piece. So playing dead really saved his life during this whole debacle, and I'm very, very happy he made it.
Dunlap was found guilty of 4 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, robbery, and burglary on May 17th, 1996.
Yeah, it took that long.
He was sentenced to death and an additional 108 years. Tracy, his girlfriend, was arrested as an accessory to the crime for helping dispose of evidence. Tried as an adult, she faced up to 6 years in prison, but received a 5-year sentence after a victim's relative advocated for her. With the option for early release through a 90-day boot camp, Tracy completed the program, leading to a shift in her sentence to 5 years of probation.
I see. I mean, did she do those things? Like, did she know about it? Was she a willing accomplice to this? It all matters here because, for all I know here, unless this is explicitly confirmed, which I'll agree with them, she could have easily not known about what Nathan did, or to the extent of what he did. So, that's kind of like one of those grey areas. But obviously, if she did know, then by all means, you know, one of those kind of weird situations. There is more to the story, which I believe, again, he'll go into.
In the years following her release, she turned her life around. She started a family and became a legal assistant and paralegal.
Well, I'm glad she was able to do that and was able to, you know, get away from ever doing stuff like that again.
In the years following the massacre, Dunlap attempted to appeal and motioned for a sentence reduction, but was denied.
Obviously.
His execution was put on hold on May 22, 2013, and after the election of Governor Jared Polis in 2018, his sentence was commuted from death to life without parole on March 23rd, 2020.
Yeah, again, it had been going for that long. This happened in 1993, and only the last couple things to go on during this whole thing happened in 2020, so yeah, this was still really relevant.
Following a bill repealing the death penalty, where he remains incarcerated at the Colorado State Penitentiary.
So now we're going to go into the Five Nights at Freddy's parallels soon, I imagine.
Bobby Stephens survived the attack, but survival came at a cost. Over the decades, through interviews, he spoke about how the flashbacks, the vacuum cleaner's hum, the sound of clattering dishes as he was shot in the jaw, and especially seeing the flash of rage and hatred in the monster's eyes. And even though they are infrequent, they still pop up to this day. In 2019, as Colorado reignited the death penalty debate, he felt conflicted about his would-be killer Dunlap. While he believed the death penalty was deserved, he also expressed exhaustion over the prolonged legal battle and would accept life without parole.
Yeah, I think he's just at the point where he just wants to put this behind him and try and move on, because it'd been haunting him for nearly 20 years at this point, so I really don't blame Bobby here.
For the sake of closure.
Exactly.
Today, Bobby is focused on work and raising 4 boys, yet he has never forgotten the tragedy he narrowly escaped.
Yeah, I don't think any reasonable person would be able to forget that. Nobody would blame him, but I'm glad that he's making his way forward. He has a family now, he's got people to look after, something to take his mind off of it, hopefully, and just give him some hope. Because you need that when you've been through something so horrible. You need a reason to keep going on, and I'm glad that he found his reason.
Every time I seem to move on with my life, I move past everything. It's in the back of my mind, because you can never really truly forget, but you can place it aside and not have it affect you.
Yeah, exactly,
He said. But it seems like every time I do so, something happens, and it gets stirred back up. The Chuck E. Cheese location closed on April 20th, 1994, shortly after the massacre.
I really am not surprised at that at all.
And presently, a Panera Bread has taken its spot. Fast forward to 2014.
Yep, here we go.
A small indie horror game appears online, Five Nights at Freddy's. Some fans and commentators, including famous YouTuber MatPat of
Yeah, again, this is where I first heard of this whole thing, was from watching the first couple game theories on Five Nights at Freddy's, because I grew up with Five Nights at Freddy's. I was 10 years old when the game came out. I was following MatPat's theories, I think, from like the 3rd episode of the FNAF theories, and I've been following him ever since.
the game theorist, in his first FNAF video, out of dozens, point out parallels between FNAF and the Chuck E. Cheese massacre.
Yep.
Both are pizza-themed restaurants that feature animatronics that perform for kids. Both take place in the year 1993. The missing children in the animatronic suits are the victims. Golden Freddy is a special animatronic who appears and vanishes at will, mocking his possible killer.
Yeah, these are all the comparisons that MatPat brought up in his theory, and yeah, this is what I know.
Likely inspired by Bobby Stevens, and is also the reason why Golden Freddy is in the kitchen. In the game, Phone Guy says to play dead.
If you happen to get caught and want to avoid getting stuffed into a Freddy suit, try playing dead. You know, go limp.
In the phone call, the places the animatronics can enter can be interpreted to be every victim. And the entire game is a nightmare to torment the killer, Mike Schmidt, possibly meant to be Dunlap.
Obviously, this theory has been deproven, obviously, because we know who the purple guy is, William Afton. This was before any of that was even a thing. Heck, the purple guy wasn't even in Five Nights at Freddy's ones. It really was up to anybody's guess as to who this could be. Was the killer Phone Guy? Was the killer you? It could have really been anybody. So yeah, before people say, oh my god, this is so silly, obviously it's purple guy. We didn't know about this back then. It was pretty much just any kind of evidence we could get.
That begs the obvious question. Did the 1993 incident inspire FNAF?
Personally, I don't think so. I think this was just a really eerie coincidence. I don't know, I don't think Scott's that type of person to make a somewhat kind of scary but a little bit goofy horror game off of a truly sad incident that really happened. I don't think Scott would do that. I just think it's one of those things where it eerily lines up.
Well, not really. Despite the similarities, Scott Coffin, the creator of FNAF, never confirmed it as an inspiration for FNAF. He did, however, state he created FNAF after receiving criticism that his previous game's characters looked like creepy animatronics and leaned into that critique. With that critique, you now see the modern-day franchise of FNAF through his multiple games, books, and now movie franchise. Also, the kitchen sometimes features Chica, not Golden Freddy.
So yeah, there are some holes in the theory, but again, this was like right when FNAF was starting off. Honestly, really before the big boom of FNAF at the time. So again, people were just kind of grasping at anything they can to try and link everything together. So yeah, the theory's old, outdated, and obviously not true, but it's fun to look back on what we were thinking of at the time.
Now, it is quite possible he was inspired by Chuck E. Cheese to create FNAF, but not the 1993 massacre itself.
Yeah.
So, if this theory is false, why does it keep circulating? Well, it is most likely because the 1993 incident is the closest real-world event to the unsettling, creepy atmosphere FNAF expertly captures.
Yeah, again, it's just because it's so eerily coincidental. Phone Guy specifically mentioning playing dead, and then Bobby played dead in real life, or, again, the number of victims matching the animatronics, the locations we speculated about, amongst other things. You can see the parallels between these two events.
It's extremely rare for something so terrifying to happen in a place meant for children. And that contradiction sticks in people's minds.
It really does.
And while fans and commentators may draw parallels between the events of that tragic December night in 1993 and the disturbing world of FNAF, the truth is much simpler. The connection is most likely a big coincidence.
Yes.
And fans dived into the possible real-world connection. Whether or not the 1993 incident inspired FNAF, its legacy remains as a haunted reminder of how quickly the familiar can become tragic.
Yes. Alright, so there we go, that was the video. Did a real-life tragedy inspire FNAF? Personally, again, I don't think so. More likely, it was just one of those things that was like an eerie coincidence. Think like The Simpsons predicting things. Yeah, again, no matter how you think about it, it's really sad that happened in 1993. Again, rest in peace to all the victims, and I really hope that Bobby Stevens as well. But I hope you guys enjoy my reaction. If you want to see me do kind of more horror-related things, or if you just want to see me watch specific stuff in particular, go and join my Discord server in the Vids for Dark to Watch section, and you can submit the videos there, and if I like them, I'll check them out. But for now, I'm Dark the Damned. Take care, my disciples.